Good morning, YouTubers. It is June 28th, 2019, and these are your morning announcements. It's raining. It's raining. It's a dark, dank day today. I truly believe that Wisconsin has now, or at least southeastern Wisconsin, has turned into a frickin' rainforest. It's like been raining and raining and raining for days and days and days. Everything's very lush and green, that's for sure. Ay, Gewalt. Anyway, so today I've been thinking about a strange phenomenon that I have been encountering for the last, I don't even know how long. Well, at least the last year, for sure, maybe longer. Now, have any of you guys ever run into somebody who was chronically unhappy, like chronically bitter? You know, somebody who like constantly was looking for the bad in people instead of the good, and was constantly critical, and they would just get weird anytime that you were happy, or if you were celebrating something in your life, they would like find some way to totally Debbie Downer the situation. Have you ever run into people like that? Well, I have. I mean, throughout my life, I've run into people like that, and normally I just sort of, I cut them out of my life if it's chronic, if it continues. I mean, everybody goes through that now and then, especially if you're going through a rough spot in life. So I'm actually pretty patient with people and let people have a chance to like show me that that's not what they're all about constantly, you know. But if it's chronic, normally I would just be like, you know what, you're toxic, goodbye, you know. And that's how I would just handle the situation. But the phenomenon that I'm experiencing is that this is happening more and more. Like, more and more people are becoming like bitter, angry, judgy, critical, haters of happiness. And I don't understand why that is. Why is this all of a sudden happening? I mean, I see it on YouTube. I see it in my everyday life, at my job. I see it on Facebook. I see it across all social media. And with the people that are around me in my life. And I'm just like, what is going on, man? And some of these people I thought were generally happy people, like didn't see the side of them until now, and all of a sudden it's just like, what is going on? And I'll talk to them, I'll be like, what's going on in your life, you know? How can I help you? And it's just that they have become haters of happiness. They hate seeing people happy. Why is this a thing? I mean, don't you realize, especially if you're a grown-ass person, okay? If you are a grown-ass man or woman, by now, you should realize that your happiness is your choice. Happiness is a choice. You can choose to be bitter or angry and see the world with a half-empty glass, or you can choose to try to find the positives in everything and live with your glass half full, you know? You really do have that choice, and what you put out into the universe is exactly what you're going to get back. So the more bitterness and angry judginess that you put out there, that's exactly what you're going to get back at you. Don't you realize that? Don't be jealous of my happiness. You want to know what the keys to my happiness are? I'm going to tell you what the keys to my happiness are, because I generally am a 99% happy person. Okay? I am. There's that 1% of time where I'm not happy, and more often than not, it's just moments of not being happy, not like a chronically long time of not being happy. These are the keys to my happiness. 1, I love myself. 2, I am very kind to myself. 3, I love Jesus. 4, I'm kind to others. And that gives me so much happiness, you don't even know. Giving to others gives me so much happiness, you don't even know. And those are my keys to happiness. And surrounding myself with positive people. Those are my keys to happiness. And those are things that any one of you guys could achieve if you wanted to. But you gotta wanna make that choice. You know, I think sometimes it's easier to just be angry and bitter and judgy. You get like a little instant gratification, I think, if you look at somebody and you go, wow, well, they're worse than me. You have this little momentary snippet of fake happiness because you feel like you're better than somebody else, but it's not long lasting because it's not real. You got to focus on the real if you want to be happy, you know? And my happiness has made me a target more than once in my life. And there were a few times in my life where people got to me, and I did have moments where I was very down and bitter. Fortunately, it didn't last very long, because I realized, hey, wait a second here. I let these people get to me. None of this is real. They're just asshats. And maybe that's being judgy. I don't know. But I don't know. I try really hard to find the positives in people. I give people chance after chance after chance. I recognize that not everybody has it together yet, and that things will come in time for them. And you know, I get a lot of flack for being nice to people that other people don't like. But it's my life. It's my experience. And I'm going to decide for myself who gets to stay and who gets to go from my life. Nobody's going to do that for me. So don't even try. I was also thinking today about a friend of mine who committed suicide. It's a guy I used to work with. He was a retired Navy officer. He had put all of his time in and was able to retire from the military, and he actually came to work for me when I was a facility manager up in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. That's how I got to meet him. And it must have been pretty strange for him, because he was 15 years older than me. You know, he was this Navy officer, and he had to leave his role in the Navy, or retired from his role in the Navy, and then came to work for our company. And his first boss is a chick who was 15 years younger than him, and who didn't have, at that point, I had very little management experience. Okay, I had been an assistant manager for a long time, and that's what got me promoted. So he came to work for me, and at first we kind of butt heads a lot. He questioned my judgment quite a bit, but in time I earned his respect. He recognized that I was pretty wise when it came to the job that we were doing, and instead of working against me, he started working with me, and we were a power team. We became a power team. We were the station to beat. Our facility was the cleanest. Our facility was the best stocked. Our facility was the fastest. We were the team to beat. And a lot of the policies and procedures that rolled out into this company were because of he and I, because he and I had built this thing together. Well, eventually I got promoted and I went to go work for corporate, and he became the facility manager of that facility, and he had so much going for him. He was a manager, he was making good money, he was collecting his full pension from the Navy, which was good money. He had a young, beautiful wife, a couple kids, and one night he did something very stupid. He went out drinking with a couple buddies, got behind the wheel, and he was drunk. He hit a car. I think he T-boned it. I think he T-boned a car. He was ejected through the windshield because he didn't have a seatbelt on, and he ended up getting very, very hurt. He was paralyzed from the waist down. What am I doing? And I'm like, I don't know. What am I doing? Oh, I'm driving. That's right. Anyways, he was paralyzed from the waist down. And that started him on a downward spiral of depression that he couldn't get himself out of. He could not see himself. He didn't see himself as being a man anymore. He didn't see himself as being someone who could provide for his family. He didn't feel like he had any use in this world. And the depression just deepened and deepened and deepened, and nothing that we, his friends, could say or do made a difference in anything that he was doing in his life. His mind just was in this dark, dark, dark place. And he did. He killed himself. And I'll never forget. I mean, I was at my job when I got the news that this had happened. And I just laid my head down on my desk and I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that he was gone. It was horrible. It was horrible. And I was so angry. Oh my God, I was so angry after that happened. I was so angry at his wife because I found out that his wife had been cheating on him. I was so angry at the people who were around him all the time. I was like, what the frick, man? Why weren't you guys keeping an eye on him? I was angry at myself for not being a better friend and getting up to see him more, I was mad and I was sad, and this lasted for a couple years. I was just angry. I would fly off the handle at little things. I didn't realize how deeply this impacted me until one day somebody did the kind thing and told me, Rach, you need to get over this. You are bitter. You are angry. You're taking this out on the people around you. You need to put yourself in check and figure out what's going on here inside your head. And that was like a light bulb coming on. It was just like, whoa, yeah, you know what? You're right. You're right. This really did affect me in a way that I wasn't expecting. And I was able to like mourn and just get it over with and forgive him and forgive everybody and move on. And it wasn't like during that whole time I was constantly angry and bitter. It would like swell up at different times, like little different things would trigger it, you know. And I would go from being, you know, my normal happy-go-lucky person to this angry, bitter, mean person for a while until I could shake it off. It's hard, man. Suicide is hard. It really, really like rocks your world, you know, in a bad, bad way. My cousin killed herself too. She was like my sister. But in her case, I kind of understood because she had stage 4 cancer and she had her epilepsy had gotten so bad that it basically took away her life, her ability to do anything or have any independence. So, I mean, in her instance, I think that she looked at her life and she was just like, well, there's no coming back from a stage 4 cancer diagnosis. You know what I mean? And I think she wanted to take herself out before she couldn't. She wanted to do it on her own terms. With my friend from Sheboygan, if he would have been able to, I think that if he would have been able to come to grips with the fact that he was paralyzed from the waist down and found out that he still had lots to give this world, things would have been different, you know. He could have lived a long, healthy life, but it wasn't the life that he saw himself in. So maybe I shouldn't be so like, I wish you wouldn't have done that. Maybe I need to be more compassionate about his decision. It's just harder for me to be compassionate towards him because he had kids. And he was such a good dad. I mean, even after the accident, when he was in his wheelchair, he still like did everything for those kids. I mean, he would have done anything, given anything for those children. They knew it. I mean, he didn't let him get away with murder or anything. He was a disciplinarian, but his kids loved him. They just adored him. And I think that that's the thing that made me the angriest, was just knowing that he left these beautiful children behind who needed him to be their dad. There's so many kids in this world who don't have decent fathers, and he was one, you know. So I think that that's the thing that just broke my heart the most, was really just trying to think about these kids growing up without a dad. I loved my dad, but my dad was not like this guy. He was not a hands-on dad. He was a hands-off dad. He was a go to work and support the family, but really give no support emotionally or take any interest in your kids kind of thing. In his world, it was, in the world that my dad grew up in and the way that my dad became, as long as you were providing for the children, you were doing your job. That was your job in the world. Nothing else. My friend was very hands-on with his kids, very involved in everything. So proud of them. I would have done anything to have a dad that was like that, had that kind of pride in me. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh. And then he took it away from them. So let me tell you something, guys. If you've got kids, please don't kill yourselves. Please don't kill yourself anyway. I mean, that's just, life can change. Things, the way that things are right now is not necessarily the way that things will always be forever. So If you're feeling like you can't go on, please get some help. The world needs you, whether you know it or not. All right, well, I rambled on long enough and I'm at work, so I love you guys. Thanks for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. Take care. Mwah. Bye-bye.